But before we go to our guest, I actually just want to acknowledge that we have several participants on the call from Australia, and we have our wonderful Australian CCL intern, Jonathan Harris, who's just going to go one slide comparing what Andre shared to the information in Australia for those Aussie attendees, and then we'll introduce Jake. So go for it, Jonathan.
So yeah, I'll just start by saying some of the things that I found were obvious differences. We had the existence of the executive, legislative, and judicial branches of government. The executive, Australia has Tony Abbott and Donald Trump here in the U.S. And in the U.S., the legislative power lies in the hands of Congress. In Australia, the legislative power lies in the hands of the federal parliament. And judicial in Australia, there's the High Court, the Chief Justice, and 6 others. And judicial in the U.S., there's the Supreme Court, which is 9 judges. Both have constitutions as foundations. The differences between these constitutions is the U.S. Constitution was created in 1781, whereas the Australian Constitution was created in 1900. And the last drafted, the U.S. Constitution was last drafted in 1787, and the Australian Constitution was drafted several times since it was created in 1990, last drafted in 1900. So the primary differences that I wanted to note in this presentation were compulsory voting. In the US, voting is entirely optional, whereas in Australia, it's required by law. And party discipline. So there's less party discipline in the US than there is in Australia, leading to changing voting alliances on legislation. And I personally see this as one primary reason for why the US is often looked at for guidance by other countries when it comes to law. Allowance for changing opinion is necessary for progression. So that would be why. And
excellent. Thanks so much, Jonathan. Well, it's a great reminder that CCL's reach is international, and the information that we provide on the U.S. clearly has lay on other Congresses, but we really appreciate you highlighting this cycle, the Australian connections, and all the wonderful work that Australia is doing with building political will down under. So thank you to the whole Australia team tonight